And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Glad you're able to join us for another exciting show. We're going to catch you up around the world of BC athletics and also have some special guests from both softball and tennis this evening. But before we get started, do want to thank our sponsors of the Tornadoes. Appreciate all their support. Arby's, Brevard Orthopedics, BSN Sports, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Salsaritas, Sully Steamers, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Appreciate their support of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Well, do want to catch you up what the Tornadoes have been up to these last few days, and an exciting series in Lookout Mountain, Georgia for the baseball team, who won both games of a doubleheader, 6-5 in game one of Saturday's doubleheader, and then 8-7 in game two as the Tornadoes able to win that series at Covenant. And coming out of that series, some breaking news. USA South Conference Rookie of the Week, Frankie Vasquez, the freshman infielder from Pembroke Pines, Florida, had a big weekend at Covenant and rewarded with that USA South Conference Weekly Award. Next up for the Tornadoes baseball team, a scheduled 4 p.m. start tomorrow. That's Tuesday at Gilcone Field. Stay tuned to Tornadoes social media accounts because there's a chance this game might be postponed due to weather that is expected in the area. But as of right now, 4 p.m. tomorrow at Gilcone Field versus Bob Jones. And then conference action resumes this weekend versus LaGrange, doubleheader beginning at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then the Sunday matinee for game 3 of the series at Gilcone Field. Women's lacrosse coming off a tough defeat this weekend to a very good Meredith squad. They will be back in action this weekend on the road in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, when they visit NC Wesleyan. That's Saturday at 11:30 a.m. in case you're in that part of the state. And then women's lacrosse will be at Greensboro on Sunday at 1 p.m. And the next home game for women's lacrosse versus Warren Wilson on Tuesday, April the 19th, 6 p.m. Islamel Family Field for that ever-growing rivalry, the Blue Ridge rivalry with Warren Wilson. Men's lacrosse coming off a conference defeat this weekend to Methodist. They will get back to it this weekend at LaGrange. That's Saturday at 2 p.m. in LaGrange, Georgia. And then the next home game for men's lacrosse versus Averett. That's on Saturday, April the 16th, 12 noon at Islamel Family Field. Tennis was at Berea this past weekend, and the women's tennis team continues to roll. 9-0 the win over Berea. Women's tennis winners of 6 of their last 7 matches. We'll talk to head coach Brad Jones a little later, along with some special guests from tennis. Men's tennis, 5-4 over Berea. And then men's and women's tennis are scheduled to head to Piedmont on Wednesday. Once again, keeping an eye on the weather for that one. And then women's tennis at Agnes Scott on Saturday in Decatur, Georgia. And then back at home at the McCoy Tennis Complex versus Huntington on Friday, April the 15th. 1 p.m. at the McCoy Tennis Complex. Track and field had a successful weekend down in South Carolina at the SWU Gotta Run invite. Some more breaking news as one of the track and field student athletes who was on the show last week, as a matter of fact, Channing Barker, was named Women's Track Rookie of the Week after some big performances in the 400 and 800. So congratulations to Channing. Track and field will be at the L.R. Bear Invitational Friday and Saturday in Hickory, North Carolina, if you want to check that out. That brings us to softball, and the softball team coming off a couple of big wins over the weekend in USA South Conference play. We're going to break these two down with Coach in just a moment here. 16-9 in game number 1 of the doubleheader, and then 16-1, a run rule situation in game number 2 of the doubleheader. Along the way, Emily White, the graduate student, the third baseman who's had such a prolific career, 150th career hit for White. She leads the USA South Conference in batting average, hitting a whopping .533. Also, do want to recognize big game from Abby Delp. She shut down Agnes Scott, 0 earned runs, 1 hit in that Game 2 win of that doubleheader. Just 2 of many highlights. So many players contributed to this past weekend's success. Meanwhile, softball will be at Covenant this Saturday, 1 and 3 p.m. as USA South Conference play continues. The next chance to see the Tornadoes at home at the BZ softball field versus Piedmont on Wednesday, April the 13th, 1 and 3 p.m. for that doubleheader. And with that, we will welcome into the program familiar face to Tornado Talk, head softball coach Bree Shearin. Coach Shearin, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, it's certainly fun to talk to you coming off a weekend like we just saw. Kind of incredible, the offensive numbers, and would like to start there. 32 runs across the 2 games on 32 hits. You had 9 doubles. You had 3 triples. And game 1, by the way, was a come-from-behind win with 12 unanswered runs in those late innings, and then you kind of ran away with game number 2. But, Coach, I know you were talking about getting those bats going. They certainly got going this past weekend versus Agnes Scott.
I mean, that's not lack of effort throughout the week, to be honest. We came off of 2 really hard teams over the week. The previous weekend, we went to Huntington and LaGrange, and we just kind of sat down and talked about what we had to do to be successful. And we had 2 heartbreaking losses on the road, and that came down to small ball for us. And so we worked through that. I think we probably, the girls will tell you it felt like 6 hours worked on just bunts and just seeing the ball hit the bat and feeling that. And I think that really contributed to why we were so successful. Our pitchers also threw a lot last week. And so our hitters were seeing a lot of live. We did a lot of drills with them, and we knew what we needed to work on. It was very apparent. The girls and I talked about it, and as well as our new volunteer coach, Christy Cobble. She's on the staff with us now. So we all talked about it, and we knew exactly what we had to get done. And it was a wild ride this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In that first game, Coach, middle of the 5th inning, Agnes Scott had a 9-4 lead over the Tornadoes. And, suddenly things are looking bleak. And then, 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th and then 10 in the 6th to, completely take control of this ball game. Can you talk about the team's, sort of headset at that point of the game, the mindset at that point where, suddenly you're down, but you realize, hey, we're running out of time here. We got to get this thing going.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about our mindset going into the box, and we talked a lot about being aggressive. When we see a strike, we're going to take it. We're not going to just let strikes go by us. But I think it was about that. It was about that 3rd, 4th inning. I looked at the team and I was just like, this is when we need runners on base. And so we talked about just letting some strikes go by, getting settled, and making sure that we see our pitch to get a good swing on it. So early in the game, we want to be really aggressive and try and push over some things. And then once we get behind, like we did in that game, we were like, we've got to see our pitch. And that's when things just connected with them. And they were all on board. Again, it's having everybody on the same page. There wasn't one player that didn't contribute to that. There were so many good things, like you said. Jocelyn, Emily, there were just so many good things that happened for us, and it was just passing the bat to the next person, pass the bat to the next person, and they just couldn't stop. It was exciting to be there Sunday.
Yeah, and while there were the 12 unanswered runs on the offensive end, Caitlin Farmer re-entered the game, the starting pitcher in the game, and then shut down Agnes Scott in those final couple innings to get the win. Coach, can you talk about Farmer's performance and the pitching staff in general as far as limiting the opponent?
Farmer got the ball game 1 because she performed so well against Huntington. Huntington is in the top of our conference. And again, that was a heartbreak for us. We should have pulled that game out for her because she threw so well. But I trusted her completely. And when I ended up taking her out, when they scored a few off of her, I think it was 3 runs, when I said, I think we need to take you out, go work on some things. You're going to go back in this game. She was like, okay. So she went out back. in the bullpen and just worked through it and worked some things out. I know that her screwball was screwed a little bit too tight and the rise wasn't really rising. And so she went out there, she worked on it in those innings, and Lindsay Toll and Grace Reynolds, they held her. I mean, they kept us in that game as well. Lindsay threw extremely well, and the offset of speeds helped us a lot too. And then Farmer coming back in, that mentality for a pitcher is really, really, really hard. So I was really proud of her for coming back in that game and shutting them down.
And then game 2, Abby Delp gets the start, who's having a sensational rookie season, and she goes 5 innings, 1 hit, just 1 run allowed. It was unearned, by the way. Mm-hmm. So all you can ask for from Abby Delp. Can you tell us even more about Delp's performance?
Yeah, and it's even more amazing because there's so much that happens behind the scenes that no one knows about. She was hurting a little bit in that game, so she wasn't even at her full potential, and she was still throwing that well. That's how good she is. Even and as a freshman, to be that good and to have a little bit of an injury and still push through it and have no earned runs, that's amazing. You can't ask for anything more out of a player than that. I mean, she's gritty. She's going to get the job done, and we play very, very well behind Abby. She shows her emotions, which I love. It's easy for me to coach her that way because I know when I need to go out there and calm her down a little bit. And our catchers do a really, really good job of going out and talking her through things as well as they do with Farmer and all of the pitchers. And I really think that Abby played very well because Taylor was behind her, helping her, catching, honestly. And I mean, Christy says it right there. I thought she was going to get Rookie of the Week, but sometimes it doesn't fall our way. And she definitely deserved it. But having all those runs behind you as a pitcher too helps. I mean, when your team is playing behind you that well, when you have 16 runs up, you know that you can throw and be calm. So that helped her too.
And we also mentioned in the open, that milestone by third baseman Emily White hitting that 150th career hit. She leads the USA South Conference with a .533 batting average. It's sensational. I know we've talked about it before, Coach, just how valuable of a member of this squad and, making history along the way, Emily White. But, when you see numbers like that, Coach, what comes to mind?
So I think it was after the first game, I looked at Mackenzie Rice and I said, I'm going to miss writing a few of these names down on this lineup. And Emily's one of them. I mean, everyone in NATO Nation knows Emily. She leads in almost everything for us, but Emily's the kind of player that's not going to get beat by anybody. If anything, she's going to have an at-bat that she does something wrong and knows how to fix it, and she's not going to get beat twice. And so that's what makes her so good is no one in our conference is going to beat Emily White. So I have full confidence in her, and I know that I don't have to tell her too much when she gets up there. And she knows that I'm just like, do your job. You know what to do. You've been here before. I said that a lot, especially in that when we were losing, I think 4-9 at some point. I said that to a few of the seniors. You've been here before. You know what to do. So Emily is I mean, what do you even say at this point? She's just so good, and no one's going to beat her. And if they do beat her in one at bat, she's not going to get beat twice.
Well, congrats again, Coach. Big conference wins this weekend to, get the ball rolling in the right direction for yourself, for Christy Caldwell, part of the coaching staff now, and the entire Tornado team. Congrats on that. But it's time to turn the page and look ahead. I know how you coaches operate. And at Covenant this Saturday, back on the road for another USA South Conference Challenge, Coach.
Covenant's a good team. They do the small things very well. So we're going to have to do those also. We're going to talk a lot about bunting again, just because I know that early in the game, we've got to move runners over and then do our job as far as like the 3, 4, 5 hitters. They've got to perform when it comes to sack flies, and we've got to perform when it comes to hit and runs. So they know what to do. We've just got to work on executing those going forward this week. Covenant's got a good pitching staff, so I think it's going to be it's definitely going to be a pitcher's duel this weekend. And we're on the road, so we've got to bring a little bit more spunk to the game. And you know how it was out there on Saturday. We were loud. They were doing the roller coaster in the dugout. It was a lot of fun, but we're going to have to bring that energy with us to Covenant this weekend.
And then back at home opportunity for Tornado fans to check out this softball team of the Tornadoes versus Piedmont on Wednesday, April the 13th. That's a 1 o'clock start. Great way to spend your Wednesday afternoon if you want to play hooky from work a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a fun one too. Piedmont preseason rankings was number 1, so we know we have to bring our A game. So that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. Hope the fans can make it out to that one. Make sure to mark your calendar Wednesday, April the 13th. Well, Coach, can you stick with us just a couple moments longer because we're going to invite in a couple of your student athletes, and these two had huge performances. I mean, the numbers just went on and on this weekend, but these two had some big performances, Autumn Lollis and Mikayla Morgan. But Coach, before we let you go, help NATO Nation get to know these two outstanding student athletes better.
Yeah, so Autumn, I mean, like you said, both of them put up amazing numbers this weekend, but Autumn played first base for us, and her bat just came alive, which me and her have been talking about, swinging at higher pitches, so she looked a little bit lower in the zone, which is why she was so successful. And then Mikayla has also been working with me in the cage a lot and just getting that front foot down. And that was what really helped her as well. But both of them have speed, and that also helps with the extra base hits and everything. So they're really smart on the bases, and that helps us with setting the table and then getting runs in.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, best of luck this weekend at Covenant. We'll be following every pitch, every at-bat. And then we can't wait to see you back at the BC softball field versus Piedmont on Wednesday, April the 13th. Thanks for joining the show. Great weekend versus Agnes Scott. That was a lot of fun out there.
Thanks, Phil. Go Natos.
All right, there she goes. And as Coach helped us introduce these two, great to formally welcome them to the program, Mikayla Morgan and Autumn Lollis. Mikayla, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, Phil.
And thanks for being here as well, Autumn. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's start with these games over the weekend because it was pretty wild how it all went down. And, the Tornadoes were trailing 9-4 and then just a remarkable turnaround. Mikayla, can you talk about the team's mentality, when you all were trailing and knew you had to come back and, there was just a couple innings left to do it?
I feel like our mentality was to stick together because we can definitely hit the ball when we need to. All of us can hit. It's up and down the lineup. We don't really have a hole through the lineup. So I feel like our mentality going into the box was very confident, and I knew right then and there that we were going to execute and win the game.
And then Autumn, once you all started executing, can you tell us what that's like to have these big innings and when it just feels like the momentum is behind you all and you really kind of keep it going? What's it feel like to be in that sort of situation when, everything seems to be clicking and you guys are just trying to keep it going one at bat after the other?
Yeah, it was definitely a very good game for us. Like Coach Bree said, I mean, we were doing roller coasters in the dugout, coming up with new cheers, like everything else. Everybody was so into the game. And I think a lot of that had to do with the mentality of we're not going to lose. Like we told ourselves at the beginning of that day, we're going into this looking for a sweep and we weren't going to take anything less. So we did that very well. And I mean, the energy was up. We couldn't hear anybody in the stands, the other team, nothing. We were all really together at that time.
All right, Autumn, we're going to stick with you for this next one because it's the second time it's been mentioned. First Coach Shearin and now yourself. Tell the audience what a roller coaster is.
So our catcher, Taylor Hannah, was getting in the front of the dugout and telling everybody, it was like we were riding a roller coaster. She had the bat out and she was going up and down to the sides and everybody was following her screaming. And it was just something, it's something we've never done before. And I think that really helped us. And like I said, everybody stayed together after that. So the energy never died. So.
And Mikayla, that's one of the cool things about being a softball student athlete and also from the fans' perspective, getting to see softball is just that energy that comes out of the dugout. But from the player's perspective, how much does that help you as a player when you feel that kind of energy coming from that dugout?
Personally for me, it's huge because just staying in the game with them screaming their heads off is very, very good. And I feel like it helps other people on the field stay in it as well, especially our pitchers, because they need to stay in it, of course, but that energy is huge.
All right, I would like to shift. We've been talking a lot about the offense and the big turnaround in this game and the scoring run and everything, but the defense came through. And in particular, there was a couple of very, I would call them slick double plays, where you guys just executed them so quickly and so precisely. And each of you a part of it, the shortstop, Mikayla Morgan, the first base, Autumn Lollis, certainly part of those double plays. And, one of them went 1-6-3, a comebacker to Abby Delp. And then another one was a 6-4-3 double play with Savannah Jones, part of that transaction. But would love to hear from each of you as far as, what it takes to turn the double play in the game of softball. And, you can get into as much specific as you like as far as those specific double plays this past weekend as well, which hats off, those were well executed double plays. Mikayla?
Being smooth for one, fielding the ball cleanly, especially having a good person to be smooth as the transfer to turn the double play, and having a good first baseman to actually stretch and catch the ball is huge.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. In Autumn, you're on the receiving end. You're the last part of those double plays so often. From your perspective, what does it take to pull those off?
I mean, we work on it every day at practice pretty much. And I think it's a lot of us like communicating with each other and having the confidence to do it. I mean, Mikayla obviously fields the ball, all the time perfectly. So she can do that. And whether it's Gabby or Savannah at second, they have the confidence, and I have the confidence in them that they're going to get it to me. And I think, I have the easiest part of the job, but they get it done very well. So.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Congrats on that. It certainly, and once again, can create a lot of momentum and energy, from you all, and that can feed into that next set of at-bats in the bottom of the inning, no doubt about it. Well, would love the audience to get to know each of you a little better. And Mikayla, let's start with yourself, the junior shortstop from Robbinsville, North Carolina. So you're from the mountains up here in Western North Carolina, but would love to hear from you as far as your upbringing as a softball student athlete, and then ultimately how you found Brevard College. Tell us about your softball journey.
I started when I was about 3 years old. My dad coached me all the way through high school. And then when I got to college, I really, really struggled a little bit when I got here. And then softball just kind of came back to me. And Brevard is really where I've wanted to go forever. And it's home to me. So that's how I found here.
Well, we're certainly glad you found Brevard as well. Autumn Lollis, tell us about your journey.
So I actually played softball from started about 8 years old, and my senior year was the year that COVID shut everything down. So I didn't plan on playing college softball, but once that happened, I was like, I'm not finished yet. So actually, Serena Rogers, I grew up playing with her, and that's how I found Brevard, and that's how I ended up here. And I've loved it ever since. I love all the friendships I've made. The team here is amazing. We always have each other's back. Coach Bree has definitely helped my transition a lot since we got here. We didn't have a coach when I got here. So definitely having Coach Bree behind me has helped a lot with coming here. So
outstanding. Each of you touch on it, but I'd love for you to expound even further. If a high school softball player from back home is listening to this program this evening, what would the things you would want to communicate, as far as what makes Brevard College special, but also what makes being a student athlete on the Brevard College softball team, such a great experience? Mikayla?
Having teammates to have your back is huge. Not only on the field, but in the classroom as well. Keeping your heart in it, because that's huge. I did have somebody come here from my high school team, Gabby Hooper, which has really, really helped me. So shout out to her, because she really, really helps me on and off the field.
Autumn, what makes Brevard College so special?
I think being on a small campus is very important. I've loved it. You get very good relationships. I mean, with your teammates, with other sports teams, professors, like everybody here has your back and are willing to communicate with you. So I think that helps a lot, especially with freshmen, incoming freshmen. Knowing that you have all these support systems here is very, very important. And I think having so many student athletes on a campus, like it's just a good atmosphere.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Autumn, speaking of academics, tell us what your focus is in the classroom.
Yeah, I'm a health science major, hoping to go to medical school to be a clinical geneticist. So that's my big goal.
Mikayla, tell us about your academics.
I'm a psychology major, and I want to be a school counselor.
Very good. Well, we can't wait to see you back in action, and the Tornadoes will be back into town after a trip to Covenant this weekend, and then versus Piedmont on Wednesday, April the 13th. But before we let you go, do want to give you each the opportunity to give any thank yous or shout outs to anyone who might have helped you along the way. The floor is yours, Mikayla Morgan.
I would like to shout out to my family because they've helped me through a lot. Coach Bree as well. Baseball team, softball team, everybody on campus has really, really helped me, not only on the field, but off the field.
Well said. Mikayla Morgan, the junior shortstop from Robbinsville, North Carolina, and also joined by Autumn Lollis, the sophomore first baseman from Simpsonville, South Carolina. Autumn, shout outs or thank yous?
Yes, I like to thank my family, especially my mom. She's done a lot for me my whole life, and my grandpa as well. At Brevard, I'd say my teammates are the most important, and Coach Bree and my high school coaches, travel ball coaches, all got me here. So.
Very well said. Great job this evening, ladies. Mikayla Morgan and Autumn Lollis. Great job this weekend versus Agnes Scott. That was a lot of fun for us to witness and cover, and can't wait to see what's next. Good luck this weekend at Covenant. We'll see you versus Piedmont on April the 13th. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you.
All right, there they go. We're going to quickly transition from the softball diamond to the hard courts, and joined now by head tennis coach Brad Jones. Coach, thanks for joining the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, first of all, happy birthday. So I want to make sure on behalf of NATO Nation, we wish you a happy birthday. You enjoyed that this weekend, but I'm sure no better birthday present for head tennis coach Brad Jones than a couple of wins at Berea. Women's tennis 9-0 win at Berea, and the men's tennis 5-4. Coach, tell us even more how the weekend went.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the birthday wishes. It went well. Obviously, the girls, it was a long drive up, but they dominated. They came out, they showed up, and they played some pretty good tennis. The guys, it was a close match, but for us, I brought a lot of guys that don't get a lot of chance to play in matches during the regular season and stuff like that. So it was really good for them to get a good feel of what college tennis is all about, for them to feel the pressure, but also to understand what they need to improve in practice. When they play the matches and then they make the mistakes and, they hit good shots, understanding their games, but also being able to work on what they need to improve on moving forward when we need them to really step up and play.
Makes a lot of sense. Coach, the women's team has been on quite a roll. Winners of 6 of their last 7 matches and getting it done at Berea, 9-0, a blanking of Berea. Can you tell us even more about the women's team and, just how it's clicking right now and, what they're doing to create all the success?
Yeah, I mean, they come to practice, they show up, they work hard, they put their head down, and they grind. I mean, that's something that we try to Coach Demi and I try to stress amongst both teams. And the girls, they've balled in and they do it pretty well, as you can tell. 6 out of 7 wins, and I didn't even know that. But no, I mean, and it's also a lot of individual work too, spending a lot of time out of practice working on their crafts. and being able to put in the work and have it transition, when nobody's watching, and really having that translate over to matches.
And you mentioned the men's team and kind of how that went down at Berea, but this was a tight one. I mean, it came down to a 5-4 victory for the Tornadoes. And, from our vantage point, Ethan McGee in that singles match that went to a tiebreaker, might have been the difference maker. But when a match is that tight, Coach, can you kind of tell us, exactly how that feels from your perspective, and what it takes to pull out these 5-4 wins?
Yeah, it's not fun. It's a lot of stress because I'm just looking. I'm outside the fences watching, so it's a lot different as a player. But no, Ethan, he did a great job. He grinded. He made a lot of mistakes in the first set. And second set, he figured it out. And then in the third set, he grinded. He was down, and anybody that's down 4-1, 5-2. It's easy to give up on a day it's not going your way. And he grinded. He even cramped, had a medical timeout, and was able to win I think the next 2 out of those 3 points to clinch the match. So it's nerve-wracking, but it's also it's fun to be on the other side of a close match. I've been on the side of where it's a lot of 4-5 losses. So to win 5-4 and squeak one out, it's pretty nice. Feels good.
And Coach, you all able to fly that W flag, and would love to tell NATO Nation exactly, the backstory on that. We see it flying here at the McCoy Tennis Complex after these wins. Tell us more, how this tradition, what the origin is. And my other question is, does the W flag travel with you on the road as well?
It does. So it actually originated before I got here. I believe the previous coach, Evan Schreiner, and Coach Jimmy, they kind of try to figure out something to kind of motivate the team after wins and stuff. So it was already here before I got here, but I bought in. I loved it. I thought it was pretty cool and a pretty neat thing to do. And yes, there is a home flag and a away flag. So we do fly it at home after wins, and then we also make sure we take it on the road. The away flag to take pictures and stuff like that. Sometimes the kids have to remind me, Coach, did you bring the flag? No, I got to run in and get it and stuff like that. But no, it's just a cool little thing to have for the team to kind of buy in and kind of celebrate after wins and stuff like that. You see a lot of other teams have little niches that they do after wins and stuff like that. And there's actually another team that I've seen that they have their own W flag. But I like ours. It's blue. It's W. Maybe for the Chicago Cubs, but it fits us. So.
Yeah, great stuff, and certainly, is a conversation starter. So people are walking by the McCoy Tennis Complex and saying, what's the W all about? And We're able to tell them. Well, Coach, what's next here? Men's, women's tennis are at Piedmont on Wednesday. I know we're keeping an eye on the weather for that one as well. And then the Tornadoes women's team at Agnes Scott this weekend. Can you tell us about the week ahead?
Yeah, it's a big matchup on Wednesday. Hopefully we can get the match in. If not, hopefully Thursday or sometime later in the week or next week. But it's a big matchup for us. I think after playing Covenant, Piedmont's the next toughest team. They won the conference for the women's side last year, and they were second on the men's side. So it's going to be a good contest. It's another good kind of marker to see where we're at as a program. Especially with different individuals that are working on their games and trying to see where their games are at so far. But it's it's another team again in the top of the conference that we get to play against. Agnes Scott again. We travel to Decatur, Georgia, and to play them. And we beat them last year, but at the same time, any given day, anybody can win. So it's another good contest for us to kind of match up to see where we're at on the women's side, and to kind of to get another win.
Yeah, and very much coming down the home stretch of the season here. A return home on Friday, April the 15th versus Huntington at the McCoy Tennis Complex. That's at 1 p.m. Both men and women will be in action for that. And then Senior Day on Tuesday the 19th versus Maryville. Coach, we've talked about it before, but great atmosphere for fans to come on out and check out the tennis team at McCoy Tennis Complex. And it does help the team perform, help make your way towards that W flag when the fans turn out.
It does. I mean, when the kids walk out and they see that support and the community members, the students, I mean, especially the parents and stuff like that, it's cool to really see the McCoy Tennis Complex packed and loud. And we talked about it last time I was on. I think Georgia had 2,000 people at their match over the weekend. So that's where college tennis is really transferring over. It's like it's a sporting event. There's bleachers, there's fans, there's chairs, they're coming out and they're coming in crowds and they're loud. And that's what you want. The louder it is, the more energy we get. And we feed off that. And stuff like that. So it's very nice to be in a place and be in a community where we are highly supported, especially, with us being, a tennis program, because you don't get that really everywhere you go.
Very good. Well, Coach, congratulations on the weekend success at Berea, and best of luck as we head towards Piedmont and Agnes Scott, and then back at home versus Huntington on Friday the 15th. But before we let you go, Coach, if you can stick with us a few more minutes, because we're going to bring in a couple of your student athletes here as joined the program now. Alex A.G. Glaze has joined the program, and also Hannah Hersh. So, Coach, before we let you go, tell us even more about these two and let NATO Nation know about Alex and Hannah and just how exceptional they are.
Yeah, I'll start with Hannah. She's a hard worker. She's somebody that, when you recruit players, that's exactly what you want in your program. Not only is she a hard worker on the tennis court, but she's even a hard worker in the classroom. So, when you get it done in the classroom, it kind of translates over on the tennis court. Like today, she's a little sick under the weather. She was ready for a one-on-one session, and I had to send her back. We went over kind of a book that I'm having her read and stuff like that. But, I sent her home. I said, hey, rest up. Appreciate you trying to come out and put in a little work. But I think rest at this point is a little bit more important than getting it done on the tennis court and, practicing and stuff like that. So, no, I'm very thankful to have, a freshman like Hannah in our program and stuff like that. And really excited to see where she's at, especially, she's a late bloomer in tennis. So, I think 2.5, 3 years of playing experience and playing at number one singles, two doubles. That you really don't see that a lot of times, especially with that less of experience in tennis. So, I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing where her game grows over the next few years as she puts her head down and grinds and stuff like that. AG, what can I say about AG, man? The kid wins. When I need a win, when I need somebody to step up and, kind of take the pressure off us, AG does it. He's done it. He did it for us last year, and he's continued to do that this year. And from somebody that came in not as a tennis player, as a basketball player, and to step up when we needed somebody last year to fill that sixth spot. And even if we have, this year we have 12, 13 kids on the team, he came out and he was ready to play, and really to see his game develop as well. We had a boys and girls club kind of community event over the summer, and he was popping serves, and I looked at him real quick. I said, have you been hitting? He's like, yeah, coach, I've been practicing and stuff like that. Just his game, the top, his top spin, his slices, his serve. He's able to, he knows what his game is, and he sticks to it. And, he, kind of can hit the ball a little bit flat and kind of play with his opponent a little bit. But again, when we need a win at that sixth spot or wherever he's at, he gets it done. And, that's the most important thing.
Well, these two definitely got it done this weekend versus Berea, and we can't wait to talk to them and get to know them even further. Coach Jones, thanks for joining the program this evening. Best of luck this week ahead.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, there he goes, Coach Brad Jones. And as Coach Jones helped us introduce these two, Alex Glaze is in the building. Alex, thanks for joining the show.
No problem.
And also Hannah Hersh. Hannah, welcome to the program.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Great to have you two, especially after this great weekend. What a performance by both the men's and women's teams this weekend at Berea. Alex, let's start with you. 6-2, 6-3 singles win over the Mountaineers. Tell us how that went.
I just came out, like Coach said, playing my game and just having fun, slicing and dicing, and it worked in my favor. You know, have fun doing it.
And Alex, a 5-4 win for the team, so it was a tight match from the team perspective that, every match mattered both in doubles and singles play. Can you talk about the team mentality and how, you guys even though you're playing basically an individual sport, you're trying to get that team W.
Yeah, as a team, we just trying to go out there and have fun. Just, what Coach said, keep the ball in play and just play our game. Try to hit some winners. If not, just keep playing as you want to play and just have fun with it.
Meanwhile, Hannah Hersh, the 6-3, 6-1 win in number one singles at Berea. Congratulations on that. Tell us how your match went.
My match went really well. My forehands were working the best for me. I did have a battle mentally through that game, but overall, I think it was a good match, and the girl was decent. But in the end, I was the better player.
No doubt about it. And Hannah, you also teamed up with your teammate Brooke Garland for an 8-2 doubles win. Can you tell us about that match and also how it is to play with Garland as your teammate?
Brooke is a fantastic doubles partner. We connect very well on and off the court, so that really helps us to know what we want to do and to strategize. Her serves, she can place it very well, and it helps me to decide if I want to poach the ball or stay in my position and let her rally with the other opponent. And we just work really well together.
AG, Coach was telling us a little bit about your game and how it's improved since you became a member of the BC tennis team, but would love to hear it from your perspective. Specifically, what are the things you've been working on the most? What do you feel like are your strengths as a player? Tell us about AG, the tennis player.
So when I first started my freshman year, I really didn't have any footwork. I just go out there and just smack the ball as hard as I could. And Evan, the old coach, was like, nah, you should work on slicing. So I learned that first, and then got to the top spin, and then my serve came last. So now when I play, I just try to just hit as hard as I can, but place it. And then once I'm in play, I slice until I get a ball I want, and then just forehand it down the middle or down the alley for a winner. If that don't work, I just slice it and make the opponent just mess up, so I get an easy ball for a point. So my game is, I play long matches, and I think everybody knows that. So I try to just go out there and have fun and just slice and dice and just do what I can do to get a win for Coach and in the program.
Great stuff. And Hannah, would love to hear you describe yourself as a player. What do you consider your strengths? And, perhaps there's even a player, a professional legend out there that you may have modeled your game after.
I consider myself a well-rounded player. I try to hit as much as the baseline, just as much as volleying. My favorites player is Serena Williams. I like how she moves on the court, and her forehands are just spectacular to look at. Currently, I'm working on trying to get that forehand inside out because it'd be a really good weapon to use on the court against my opponents.
And Alex, are you a fan of the professional tennis game? Do you watch the majors, and is there a player that you prefer?
I watch some matches, but I don't know your names. I know Federer and Rafael Nadal and some of the old players like Reddick and all that kind of stuff. I know them, but nowadays, I just watch it just to see what I can do, what they do, but I can't do what they do. So I just go out there and just have fun.
Senior dual sport athlete, also a member of that men's basketball team. You had your senior day in men's basketball, senior day for tennis coming up as well, AG. But can you tell us the life as a dual sport athlete? How do you balance the two?
In the beginning of when I first started playing tennis, I had basketball workouts, and that can vary from lifting weights in the morning to tennis after that, and basketball at night. So, it was around the clock, practice. I almost had abs one year because I ran so much, but, I ate a lot. So, it wasn't hard for me. I didn't have stressful classes, but, going through the program, as you go through your junior, senior, you got the harder classes. So, it was kind of stressful, but at the same time, I just maintain it and just have fun as always. And try not to get stressed out, but it comes with being a dual sport athlete.
Yeah, you got it done, no doubt about it. Hannah Hersh, freshman from Estero, Florida, down in the southwest portion of Florida on the Gulf Coast. Tell us about, Coach mentioned a little bit how picked up the tennis racket, sort of late in your career. But tell us about how you got started with tennis and then ultimately how you found Brevard College.
Well, my dad brought me into tennis. He used to play racquetball. So in kindergarten, I did take lessons and just to learn how to swing. But I decided to dance. And then until my junior year of high school, I wanted to get more involved with tennis. So after COVID hit, I started taking lessons every single day. And a year ago, I got private coaches to help me perfect my skill. And then it wasn't until like December of my senior year, Coach Brad reached out to me, and he offered me a position on the tennis team, and I got to tour the school, and I just fell in love with the mountains because it's very different from the scenery at a beach. And I just fell in love with the campus. Everyone's very welcoming, and that's my tennis journey.
Very good. AG, out of Columbia, South Carolina, and you're down the home stretch here of your collegiate career at Brevard College. But looking back on it, what makes Brevard College a special place and a great place to be a student athlete, whether it be basketball or tennis or any sport?
Well, it's a small community. Everybody knows each other. The mountain view is great. The waterfalls is fantastic. I came on a visit. I never thought I would like it, but it kind of touched my heart a little bit to see the waterfalls and the mountains. But being an athlete here is fun. You get to travel, have fun. Get to meet new people, teammates, coaches. They all fight for you no matter what you do or what you go through. They're there for you no matter what.
And Alex, tell us about your academics. What degree are you pursuing, and have you thought about what's next?
I major in criminal justice, and I'll be going to work in the law field, and eventually my goal is to be a U.S. Marshal. So,
very good. Hannah Hersh, freshman. So certainly early in the process. Alex is at, almost to the finish line. You're getting started, so don't expect you to have it all figured out just yet. But tell us what you've figured out academically. Have you chosen a major, and what is your focus? You think it's going to be?
Well, I have chosen a major. I'm majoring in health sciences right now, and I'm also minoring in biology and chemistry. And then I hope to go into pharmacy school at Lee Comp in Bradenton, Florida, and hope to become a future pharmacist.
Outstanding. Well, can't wait to see what's next for each of you, and also can't wait to see you back on the tennis court. Alex Glaze and Hannah Hersh from the Brevard College tennis program. Men's and women's tennis will be at Piedmont this week. And then the women's team heading to Agnes Scott. Women's team, by the way, winners of 6 of their last 7 matches. So they've been playing some great tennis. And then back at home on Friday, April the 15th versus Huntington at the McCoy Tennis Complex. Hope you can check out these outstanding student athletes at that one. But before we let you go, do want to give you each the opportunity, and you can take as long as you want, for any shout outs or thank yous. Anybody who may have helped you along the way, who you just want to give a shout out to, the floor is yours. AG Alex Glaze.
So I want to shout out to my mom and dad, my brother, helped me get through this journey of college. And it's been stressful. And I pushed through a lot of money situations and calling you on the phone late at night. So I want to say thank you. And thanks to Brevard College for giving me a chance to become a better man and graduate college in the future. Thank you.
All right, AG. Well said. And hey, on behalf of all of us at the athletic department, congratulations. You brought a lot to the table, no doubt, both basketball and tennis. And it's been a lot of fun to cover you. Can't wait to see you out there again at the McCoy Tennis Complex, and graduation coming shortly as well. Congrats, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, Hannah Hersh, same opportunity for you. Shout outs or thank yous?
I want to give a special shout out to my dad. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday. I want to also give a shout out to my mom and my sister for supporting me. And I want to give a special shout out to Coach as well, giving me a chance, even though I've been playing a shorter time period than the rest of the players on this team. I want to give a shout out to the rest of my coaches, friends at home, and my friends here. They've been very supportive since I've had to move from Florida to here, and they've just been really helpful.
Well said. A bit of a birthday theme to this, program this evening. Happy birthday to Hannah's dad, and also happy birthday to Coach Jones, who celebrated one over the weekend. And you guys brought him a great birthday present, those wins over Berea. Well, Alex Glaze, Hannah Hersh, good luck moving forward. We can't wait to see you back there at the McCoy Tennis Complex. Great job this evening. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there they go. And thank you, NATO Nation, for joining us for another edition of Tornado Talk. It's been a lot of fun talking softball and tennis this evening, and a lot of opportunities for you to see the Tornadoes coming up in these next couple of weeks as we hit the home stretch of the academic and athletic calendars here at Brevard College. Be sure to go to bctornadoes.com for all your stats, scores, schedules, news, and information. And also follow the Tornadoes on social media for all the latest updates. Appreciate Joseph Marvin for pushing all the buttons behind the scenes. And thanks again for tuning in for this edition of Tornado Talk.